Velete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. They told us African army could never stand on their own feet. They lied to us. Look closely at what is happening right now. What you are seeing is not just a simple parade of military trucks. This is the raw reality of total military independence moving through the night. For decades, outside experts and foreign powers told our continent that we were too weak to protect our own borders. They said without their foreign bases, without their loop-sided defense pacts, and without their troops stationed on our soil, our nations will simply fall apart. That conditioned us to believe that we were helpless, but the sovereign forces of the Sahel just shattered that myth forever. Let's break down the exact facts of what this heavy military convoy proves. Look at the sheer volume of equipment. We are talking about massive fuel tankers, heavy transport trucks, and vehicles completely packed with heavy ammunition and bombs. This is top-tier hardware. But the most important part isn't just the gear, it is the tactical discipline. Every single block of 20 to 30 vehicles is tightly protected by its own dedicated support unit. This proves that the National Army isn't just buying weapons for show. They have developed the operational discipline to move and protect their own supply lines in real time under total national command. Now, let us do a deep dive into the massive contrast between what is happening in the Alliance of Sahel states and the rest of the African continent. This contrast is a painful truth that we must speak out loud. Right now, across our continent, there are so many leaders who are sitting around in their capitals waiting for external actors to come save them. They are waiting to sign new security pacts with the very same foreign powers that caused the instability in the first place. They are begging foreign troops to build bases on their land. They are waiting for international bodies and foreign capitals to approve their defense strategies before they even move their own soldiers. They have been trained to believe they cannot survive without a master. Let's look at the history of that dependency model. For over 60 years, many nations have trusted these foreign interventions. And what is the result? The crisis only gets worse. When you invite a foreign army into your house to protect you, they do not bring peace. They bring their own geopolitical interests. They build massive bases, launch drones, and gather intelligence. Yet, mysteriously, the armed groups and TT continue to expand. Why does this happen? Because these outside forces play a double game. They do just enough to justify their presence, but never enough to actually win the war. They want to stay relevant. They want to maintain a permanent foothold so they can keep their hands on our natural resources, like Paul Kagame said, our uranium, our gold, and our strategic lands. Paul Kagame said they come with a whip in one hand and the other one, they take our resources away. If a nation depends on a foreign power for its ammunition, its intelligence, and its spare parts, then that nation is not truly independent. The moment that nation disagrees with the foreign power, politically, the foreign power cuts off the supply of weapons, leaving the African states defenseless. It is a trap. But the seven states of the Sahel looked at this trap and said, no more. They refused to play the game of dependency. They did what the conventional experts said was impossible. They ordered the foreign troops to pack up their bags and leave. They shut down their foreign bases. And what happened when they took total control? They redirected their national wealth. Instead of spending millions on loop-sided foreign defense contracts and foreign advisors who do nothing, they put their own defense budget directly into purchasing heavy hardware from partners who actually respect their sovereignty. They bought the exact tools needed for their specific terrain. This completely changes the psychology of the conflict. A soldier who goes to the front line knowing that their weapons belong entirely to their own state and that their commanders take orders only from their own president fights with a complete different spirit. The Sahel is proving that our soldiers never lacked bravery. They never lacked skill. They only lacked leaders with the political courage to give them the heavy machinery and the total freedom to defend their own land. The Western propaganda networks are working overtime right now. They are manufacturing endless stories of panic, weakness, and isolation in the Sahel region. They want the rest of Africa to believe that leaving the old system leads to disaster, but the physical reality on the ground cannot be hidden by media propaganda. These massive lines of new equipment passing through the streets prove that when you stop the flight of capital and stop the corruption of foreign aid, the state has the will, the capacity, and the absolute strategic to arm its soldiers to the teeth. This is a direct wake-up call to the entire African continent. The blueprint has been drawn. The days of waiting for outside salvation are officially over. True security cannot be rented from the people who benefit from our instability. If we want true independence, we cannot wait for it to be given to us. We have to build it ourselves. We have to find it ourselves. And we have to defend it ourselves. We will continue to watch the front line and bring you the raw truth. Like when this Middle East issue started or the conflict, Iran said something to the Gulf state that you can never depend on foreign shield for protection. These bases will only bring you problem. And when your home is set on fire, they will run and leave you to burn. And we saw it that when things became so tense for them and they were setting their bases on fire to the point that the troops were hiding in hotels and bushes according to the report that came, we heard the same people, the Gulf nations coming out to tell the whole world that they were abandoned when they needed the United States of America most. So it's a lesson for us as Africans to understand that we can do it ourselves. We can build it ourselves. There is nothing that we want and we cannot do. But the moment we continue to buy into the narrative that we need them before we can survive, like Paul Kagame said, they come with a whip in one hand and with the other, they take our resources out of the continent. The whip, he said, represent their human rights and democracy, which we know is why the African has never really grown to the point that we need. So we have to wake up and fight for the total liberation of the African. And the time is now, because there is none that can do it for us. Unity is the only thing we need. And it is time for the other ones to also be like, you understand? We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided before. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's colonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.